I know, I'm long overdue for an updated waves tutorial, kind of my daily loose undone curls. So I am doing that for you today. This is one of my favorite ways to wear my hair. I've been wearing it like this for a couple years. And not only is it good just down, and I can get usually another day, possibly 3 out of it, but it's also a good foundation for other hairstyles. So I'm gonna teach you today from the angle of wearing your hair down. But if you're about to pull your hair up into an updo or wear it half up or something, this is also a great method to practice to give your hair some movement and softness before you pull it back, especially if it's straight. So just keep that in mind. The tool I'm using is the Babyless 1.25 inch curling iron. I've also used a T3 1.25 inch. Both are great. I really switch off between the two of them depending on my mood, and I've grabbed this one. So that is what I'm using today. My hair has been prepped by shampoo, conditioner. I put a Quaj uplifting foam at my roots and then an Alterna volume spray, kind of mid shaft to ends. Blew it dry with a paddle brush, and this is what I'm left with. So my hair is naturally straight. I just blew it dry with a paddle brush to smooth through it. No flat ironing or nothing like that. I'm going to curl it now. If you have questions about any of those products or any of the tools I'm using in this tutorial, you can find them on the blog post. You can find a link to that blog post right below this video if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're watching right here on the blog, it'll just be right below this video. So when I'm looking for a really undone wave, I usually won't section off my hair. If you have really thick hair, get a duckbill clip or two. A jaw clip would work as well, and section your hair in at least half. So my hair is, I'd say, a medium thickness. If it was much thicker, I would definitely have to section it. But again, I'm going for kind of a loose, soft wave, so I'm not gonna worry about sectioning it. What I am gonna do is just with my fingers, separate it in half. So down the back, I've just created a loose part. So half is over this shoulder and half is over this shoulder. I'm gonna do my left side first and then go around to my right side. I always like the curls right at my face to be a little bit more undone than the rest of them as I work my way around the head. So what I'll do is put the iron in and immediately begin twisting it and then pull it out and tug on that curl right away so it softens out like a lot. Then I'll comb through it because again, I want these curls that are right next to my face to be really loose. You can see that'll be a really nice soft curl. If I need more, I can always go through and add more, but I'm pretty pleased with how much of a bend I have there. Then I'll just go through and grab various sections as I work my way back. Whenever I'm watching YouTube hair tutorials, it kills me to see women struggling with sectioning. So if you're not able to cleanly grab a section of hair like I have here, use a clip and just clip back the rest of the hair that you are not gonna touch. That way you know this is the only part of the hair I'm working on right now. You won't pick up any other hairs, you won't pick up previously curled hair, so you're not doing double the heat damage to it. The smaller sections you take, the tighter curls you will get. The longer you hold the barrel on the hair, the tighter curls you will get. If you tug on the curl while it's still hot, you're gonna loosen it up a little bit. You'll see that that's what I'm doing because I want just a soft wave. I always load the hair in at the root and then slowly twist and use my finger to open up the barrel as I'm loading the rest of the hair in, leaving out the bottom 2 inches or so. I'll show that for you here. I'm gonna turn my head a little bit so you can see exactly what's happening. And get it in there. So I'm just continuing to rotate the barrel and then drop it out so I'm not including that last section of hair, and then I'm going to pull on it. And that just stretches it out a bit and softens the curl. If your hair does not hold curl well, don't pull on the curls after you drop them from the barrel. Let them sit in the position that they're in right when they're dropped off the curling iron. That will help ensure that they'll hold their shape. You can also use a flexible hairspray or setting spray before you curl the section. Just make sure the hair is pretty dry. If you've sprayed a product on it, give it like 20 seconds or so to dry instead of putting a section of hair that's just been sprayed with a setting spray that may still be wet into the barrel. You never want to hear your curling iron sizzle and pop. It's not a good sign. So same thing here, I'm just gonna stretch this out a little bit so it's a looser curl. As you're working on the back of your hair, if you find that it's too much to deal with, don't be afraid to section off a halo section of your hair. So imagine a halo was sitting on your head or a crown. You can just do a circle parting and clip that hair out of the way. Work with the bottom of the hair first, then let down that halo section that you made and work on that second. That's a good way to make sure you get nice lift on the crown as well. So coming around to my right side where I'm gonna finish up, I'm just doing the same exact thing, loading the hair in at the root, slowly working it down. You'll notice what I'm not doing is loading the hair in by the ends and wrapping it up. That's a really good way to get super curled ends and no curl at the root area. Since I want the majority of the curl to be at the root area and then it slowly cascade down, with the ends being straighter, I'm gonna start at the roots where I want the heat to be the longest and then not put any heat where I want the hair to be straight. I'm also combing out each section before I curl it to make sure I'm not using heat to kind of cement any knots in place that I may have. So always get in the habit of doing that. When I want to add a little extra lift, I'll hold the section that I'm working on more vertical than out or down. You can see the curling iron now is almost completely on top of my head. That's to give those roots a nice little pop. I'm still doing the same method of twisting the iron and slowly working the hair into it. I just put the curling iron in more on top of my head to encourage a little bit more root lift right there. You can see the difference on this side versus right there. I'm gonna soften this one out. So I'm almost at the finish here. I'm gonna do this in kind of two sections, one lower than the other. I'll do a quick curl here just like I did because this will be right next to my face. Pull that out right away. And then with the bang section, I don't have real bangs, just kind of leftover face framing / breakage from my hair going through pregnancy and just being a little dry and damaged. So that's what I'm working with. So everything's curled. You can see these hairs right next to my face are kind of the least curled of the bunch. That's how I wanted them. I'll spin around so you can see how the rest of the curls look, and then I will style it. I don't like to brush through my curls. I just like to rake through with my fingers. So I'm gonna have open hands here and just rake through and soften all of the curls that I made. And then you could go in at this point with some texture spray to add a little definition so they don't all blend together. I am not gonna do that, and the reason is I want hopefully 3 days on these curls. So on day 1, I try to limit the amount of products I add to my hair because I know I'm gonna add texture spray tomorrow. So what I'll do instead is spray a little bit of a soft hold hairspray. This is the Amika Fluxus Touchable Hairspray, kind of at my root area as I'm teasing my hair to get some extra volume. And that will give my hair a little bit of grit, but it won't put texture on everything. So I can add to it tomorrow and it won't feel like, whoo, overloaded my hair with product, if that makes any sense. So I'm just raking through here. This is the point where I would use a handheld mirror to look at the back, see what those curls are doing. If any of those need to be touched up, I would do that before I started styling my hair. So I'm gonna focus the teasing or back combing kind of in the middle part of my head. I'm not gonna add a ton up here because I already have nice lift. I don't wanna go overkill at my root area like I did about 5 years ago. And I don't need to add a lot of volume down here at my nape. So kind of just right here in the middle. 1, it adds some width, which I like with my hair, and 2, it keeps the curls from settling into one another. So I'm gonna just kind of flip this top section over and grab loosely this middle section of hair. It's right above my ear. I'm gonna tease it right at the root and then spray a little bit of this flexible hold hairspray right under that teasing and let that dry, if it'll stay up, for a minute, and then I'll come back to that. We are not finished. Don't stop here, there's more to do. I'm gonna continue this around my head, so I'm lifting that top layer up and then teasing kind of in the middle. So now that I've added a little hairspray at the middle part of my hair, very flexible hold, I'm gonna use my fingers to rake through and kind of reshape those curls without pressing all the way into my scalp. I don't want to pull out all the teasing I just put in. Kind of want to cover it up with that top layer of hair. that's another reason why I left that top layer out, so I could just easily recreate those curls and cover the back combing so you don't see that. So after I've placed the curls a little bit, I'll use a firm hold hairspray. This is the Kenra Volume 25 hairspray. I love this hairspray. I've loved it for like 16 years or something. And just kind of hold it far away from my head and do a light veil. Again, I don't want to use too much product because I want to sleep on this mess and wear it again tomorrow. But this holds the curls well. It resists some humidity. It keeps the curls from kind of blending all together. And I can brush it out and it doesn't feel like, I've got a ton of hairspray in my hair. So I'll lift a little bit here at the crown and get some hairspray back here. And then I'll kind of leave it. So full disclosure, I sort of hate my hair right after I curl it because it does that right on my shoulders. It just has to do with the length that it's at, and this drives me absolutely crazy. But if I leave it for like 20 minutes, it'll chill a little bit, and then just inevitably by rubbing on the tops of my shoulders, that curl's gonna soften up a little bit, especially since I didn't load it up with any hairspray. So if you have this problem too, don't worry about it right after you style it. If it doesn't go away, let's say your hair holds curl really well, you can take the curling iron that's still hot and kind of run it over that curl to soften it out. You don't want to hit it with a flat iron or anything, but I know mine will, so I'm just gonna leave it for now. So these are kind of my everyday waves. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. I feel like I've filmed so many hair tutorials on curling, but there's always time for a new updated one. Again, don't be afraid to section if your hair's thicker than mine. It will be so much easier to manage. So I didn't because I know how to do my hair really quickly and this is how I like it, but there's nothing more frustrating than trying to curl a section of hair and you don't know, like, was this curled already? And why is this hair coming from this side? And just get some clips and clip the other hair out of the way. And then a good curling iron makes a big difference. Like I said, I use the Babyliss 1.25 inch. T3 makes a great curling iron as well. I actually have a curling iron comparison video that you may like to watch. I'll put a link to it right below this video. If you recreate the style, I would love to see it. If you share a photo on Instagram, use hashtag smallthingshair and I will come check it out. It's about the process, guys, okay? If you look like a maniac midway through, you can guarantee you'll end with good results. That's not true at all. But for some reason it works for curls.